Howdy, friends, and welcome back to Sadie Cohen Bounty Hunter. I'm Glory Fink, your guide through this dusty trail of danger, resilience, and the stubborn hope that keeps folks going out on the frontier. Tonight we ride into Part 12, A Frontier of Hope. This chapter carries themes of community justice, tense confrontations, restitution, and above all, the strength of found family. So settle in, pour yourself something strong or something warm, and let's step back into Badaass, where justice is about to take a new shape. Sadie Cohen, Bounty Hunter, Part 12. Previously, in Part 11, The Guns of Blackspur. The dust has settled, Blackspur's foremen are chained, and the workers have walked free. But the war for the rails is far from over. Mercenaries ride west with blood on their boots, and the frontier trembles under the weight of their vengeance. Sadie, Clem, and Jeremiah must strike first, or risk watching everything they fought for burn. A Frontier of Hope by Glory Fink. Content advisory: community justice, tense confrontations, mentions of past violence, discussion of restitution labor, themes of resilience, hope, and found family. I knew the marshal the moment I heard him. 4 riders, 4 horses moving steady down Main like they had all the time in the world. No dust kicked up, no spurs jangling a dare, just calm hoofbeats in a town that had forgotten calm. Marshal Thomas Truelove swung down outside Goldie's, taller than I'd pictured, but carrying his weight like it belonged to him, and not the other way around. His coat was freshly oiled, his boots clean, and his gaze was the kind that stripped lies bare before a man thought to tell one. He tipped his hat to the town itself, not a soul in particular, and that told me plenty. Inside, the mercenaries hunched like busted fence posts. Folks stood back, tight-lipped, hands hovering near hammers. The air still carried the edge of last night's fear, sharp enough I tasted it on my tongue. Truelove didn't flinch. He asked for the Blackspur contract, and Siobhan laid it in his hand like she was passing over a live coal. He read it clean, though, eyes steady, then folded it neat. "You did right," he said, voice like a riverbed stone, smooth but not soft. "You stood together, faced men who'd rather take than earn. That speaks well of Badaass." I saw back straighten at that. Folks who'd come in shaking were now glancing at one another, daring to feel proud. Pride's a dangerous thing out here, but it can keep a soul alive longer than whiskey and bread. Truelove turned then, fixing his eyes on the mercs. "Here's my offer. You sign notarized statements swearing to leave the Arizona territory, not return less it's for honest work. Break that oath, and I'll see to it every badge from here to Prescott rides down on you. Your choice." The mercenary shifted, half beaten, half calculating. To me it looked like a rope thrown to a drowning man. Only this rope carried barbs. The room didn't take kindly to that offer. You could feel it in squared shoulders, thinned lips, hands twitching. Millie was first to speak, her voice sharp as broken glass. "That's justice?" she snapped, stepping out from behind me. "If we hadn't taken their guns, they'd still be terrorizing us. You'd ride in only to find us buried under boot heels. You call that fair?" Goldie chimed in from behind the bar, her apron still stained with last night's whiskey. "We risked our lives to strip 'em of their swagger, Marshal. Letting 'em walk with a signature? That don't pay back a damn thing." Others joined in, Siobhan's voice rising. "We bled for this. What you're offering them ain't punishment, it's a pardon." The room's anger swelled until it pressed against the rafters. For a moment I thought Truelove might snap right back, lay down the law like an iron rail across the floor, but he didn't. He just stood there, one hand on the back of a chair, his eyes steady as a campfire flame. Then he said, quiet enough we all leaned in to hear, "My papa used to say, folks take care of what they take care of." It stopped the room cold. A riddle, simple and sharp, dropped like a pebble in a still well. I watched Millie blink, her fury faltering just long enough for me to see the grief beneath it. Truelove straightened, voice stronger now. "You've shown you can stand together. Question is, what do you want standing when the dust settles? Vengeance or something better?" The mercs stared at their stocking feet. The townsfolk stared at one another. And me? I was staring at the marshal, wondering if maybe, just maybe, he'd found the one road that wouldn't leave us all poorer by the mile. It was Millie who broke the silence, chin high, eyes blazing. "They don't get to slink out of town with a pen scratch. Not after what they've done." She glanced around the room, finding nods, and she added sharp as a French staple. "But if they're so eager for honest work, they can start here." A murmur ran through the crowd, low, questioning, then rising with a current of approval. Siobhan crossed her arms, the corner of her mouth twitching like she half approved already. Goldie leaned on her bar with a wicked little grin. Truelove raised a brow, interest sparking in his calm. What's your thought? Millie didn't hesitate. 30 days. They stay in Badaass and work to pay back the damage they've done. Public projects, real labor. They can haul timber, mend roofs, dig the wells we've been needing since last summer. They'll be fed, housed, and watched. If they want to prove they're capable of honest work, then let them prove it. A ripple of approval spread through the room, rough and hungry. For once, even Fletcher nodded, arms folded like he'd been waiting on someone to say it. I couldn't help but grin when Millie added, I've got fences need mending and a barn needing raising. My place will keep them busy enough they won't be looking for mischief. The mercs bristled, some ready to spit nails, others sinking deep in their chairs. Truelove considered them, then spoke plain and final. There you have it, men. 30 days' work to mend your names. Do it right, and you might just find honest wages down the line. Do it wrong, you'll answer to me and this town. Think on which future you'd prefer. He let the words hang, and for the first time since I'd met him, I saw something flicker in the mercenary's eyes. Not defiance, not fear, just the sting of shame and perhaps acceptance. The notary, Mr. Pembroke, a thin fellow with spectacles too big for his face, shuffled forward from where he'd been lingering in the corner like a nervous ghost. He set his papers on Goldie's bar and dipped his pen, his hands shaking just enough I thought the ink might spill. One by one, the mercenaries signed. Some pressed the quill hard, gouging the paper as if to scar it. Others barely touched the nib, their names faint ghosts that might vanish with the next hard rain. Still, each mark landed, black on white, binding them tighter than shackles ever could. The townsfolk stood silent, watching. No one cheered, no one jeered. It wasn't victory, not exactly, but it was steadier, like patching a roof after a storm. You didn't feel triumphant, just dry for the first time in weeks. Truelove folded the papers and slid them into his coat. I'll see this contract sent to the federal courts, he said. Blackspur won't be able to pretend this never happened. Your stand here will carry farther than Badaass. That got a few nods, a few murmurs. Goldie's mouth tugged into the barest smile. Even Millie looked satisfied, her chin less sharp than before. As for the mercs, they stood stripped of their swagger, eyes lowered, boots shuffling like boys sent to Sunday school against their will. A few still bristled, but none dared test the weight of the room. And me? I felt the tension slip from my shoulders, though not all the way. A fragile piece. That's what we are. Fragile enough to crack if someone breathed on it. Goldie poured whiskey all around, and for the first time in days, the sound of glasses clinking carried more cheer than menace. Laughter rose, hesitant at first, then steadier, like a fiddle warming into tune. The mercenaries got no seat at that table. Truelove had them out back before dawn, their weapons stacked in a neat pile like stripped bones, their hands set to hauling timbers under watchful eyes. They weren't free men anymore, not in spirit. The sight of them sweating in the cold light, shoulders stooped and eyes hollow, carried more weight than any sentence a court could have passed. Justice, I reckoned, didn't always come wearing robes. It could come with rope-burned palms and backs bent to the work of mending what you tried to break. As for me, Clem, and Millie, we stayed in the thick of it as long as we were useful, hauling, measuring, steadying planks while voices rose around us, less in anger now and more in the rhythm of planning. Fletcher still brooded on the edges, a man with shadows tugging at his coat. But he didn't pull his boys into trouble, and I counted that as a mercy. By noon, the square was alive, with the sound of hammers ringing like church bells. Goldie's girls moved among the men with trays of coffee and bread, sustenance enough to keep hope nailed in place. Siobhan had her sleeves rolled up, flour smudged across her cheek as she passed out rolls hot from the oven. The newspaper men, red-eyed from lack of sleep, still scribbled notes with a hand that shook but didn't falter. Through it all, I kept catching Millie's glance, steady as the lantern light she'd hung in her window the night before, calling me home through the storm. Clem was at my side, sleeves rolled past his elbows, forearms roped with sweat and sawdust, grinning when he caught me watching him. For the first time in a long time, I let myself believe that maybe the three of us weren't just surviving this place, we were shaping it. When the day's work wound down, the sun laying its last fire across the roofs, Truelove clapped my shoulder and told me I'd earned a rest. "Go on, Tex," he said, with that calm authority that left no room for argument. "You and yours best get some supper in you. This town'll still be out here come morning." The stars were sharp and endless above Badaass, and for a moment the whole world felt hushed and waiting. Clem leaned against the post, arms folded, his hat tipped back. "Reckon this is the end of it?" he asked, voice soft. "For them, maybe," I said, "but not for Blackspur. Men like Cornelius don't stop until someone stops." We stood a while, shoulder to shoulder, letting the quiet settle. Then Millie stepped out, lantern in hand, her smile tired but true. "Escort me home?" she asked. I offered her my arm, and Clem fell in just behind us. 3 of us moved down the street together, Millie at my side, Clem steady at my back. The town lights glowed warm behind us. Our eyes kept to the horizon, where the dark pressed close and the storm waited. We climbed into Millie's cart, the horses trailing, the road leading us toward her place, toward our place. Clem's laughter drifted easy on the evening air. Millie's hand brushed mine in a quiet promise, and for once, I didn't flinch from it. Our home. And the words settled in my chest like something I'd been carrying too long finally set down. But even as I let the warmth of it soak through me, I could feel the storm waiting behind the horizon. Blackspur hadn't forgotten this town, or me, or what I'd taken from them. This unlikely adventure I'd stumbled upon had ended, sure enough, but the trail ahead was still calling, and I knew it would demand blood, bone, and choices yet unmade. Thanks for riding with Sadie Cohen, Bounty Hunter. Your support keeps this outlaw tale alive and helps queer voices thrive. If you enjoyed this chapter, you could tap the heart button, leave a comment. Sadie's always listening for fresh gossip. And you can buy us a coffee or a meal if you're feeling generous and you have the means, on Ko-fi, Venmo, and Cash App. Your support keeps these stories alive, lifts up queer voices, and gives you a front row seat to new worlds. Stay connected with the Coffee Bunny Crafters Cafe. Subscribe for cozy chaos, creative magic, and behind-the-scenes updates. You can find me as well on Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and TikTok. This was A Frontier of Hope, Part 12. Thank you for listening to Sadie Cohen, Bounty Hunter, and for walking this road with me. Your presence means more than you know. If you enjoyed this story, I'd love for you to share it with a friend who loves westerns, found family, or just a darn good yarn. And if you want to keep riding with Sadie, Clem, and Millie, you'll find more chapters and extras waiting over at Glorious Magazine on Substack. Don't wander too far, because next week, we'll be opening the doors on a brand new tale, The Boarding School Murder Mystery. Imagine ivy-colored walls, whispered secrets in candlelit corridors, and a crime that only sharp minds and braver hearts can untangle. If you like your mysteries, with a dash of gothic atmosphere and a whole lot of intrigue, you won't want to miss it. Until next time, keep your lanterns lit, your boots steady, and your heart open to hope. The trail ahead is long, but we'll ride it together. Goodbye.